Hello, this is Shamnath Banerjee from Shamnath's desk. Today we're going to talk about mobile security. As you very well know, mobile phones have been a widespread success. It is estimated that there are more than 3.3 billion mobile phones. That is almost equivalent to the size of the population of planet Earth. Well, within the entire population of mobile phones, the items which are of key interest to us are smartphones. And smartphone devices deliver very similar functionalities to their laptop and desktop counterparts. They have comparable computing power, and with geolocation services and device cameras, they are providing unique value to end customers. And their growth, both on the consumer space and also on the end business space, are expanding like anything. But with that, there comes significant risk because many of these smartphone devices have very little or no endpoint security. So there is a very serious mobile threat landscape which is unfolding, and many people believe 2011 would be a year where we will see significantly expanded attacks, and the entry point would be these smartphone devices. This video is not meant to scare you. It's not meant to paint a very dark picture. It's meant to educate you on different threat areas and how you can safeguard and protect yourself and your organization. So let's try to understand the different threat vectors. How can these mobile phones be infected and you get affected by these things? So the number one thing is malwares entering your phone. The number two is loss and theft of these devices. The number three thing is the interception of data communications, whether it's voice, text, or emails. Number four is direct attacks on these phone devices. The malwares there are different kinds of malwares. SMS Trojans are examples of a malware where if these things enter your phone, they'll try to send SMSs to unknown numbers to gain profit at your cost, and to send SMSs which you never intended to do. Very similar are applications which will get permission to put background calls. You will not even know these calls are being made, and these will be making calls to certain numbers, and you will have to pick up the phone tab, the phone bill tab, that is. There are other kinds of malwares which will do key logging, which will try to capture any keystrokes when you are trying to transact a business or enter your credit card information, or for that matter, any personally identifiable information. Now, there can be other kinds of malwares, but essentially these are done by like crime stars, criminals who will try to get a piece of profit at your cost. These malwares also have a tendency to propagate through your address book, which might cause significant embarrassment on your part. The typical entry point of these malwares are the desire to load applications from third-party app stores which are unaffiliated and which is a source of these renegade apps. So yes, the desire to get pirated apps and the process known as side loading is essentially the source of many of these malwares. So you might think that you are saving money by getting a pirated app, but you may not know that you might be exposing yourself to some bigger harm. For example, with the growth and rise of the Android operating system, the equivalent growth of malware on Android have seen a significant 400% increase within a very short span of June 2010 to January 2011. This is a page directly published by a study from Juniper Networks, who sell security VPN client software, and their studies show that there is a significant increase in the malwares in Android space. Now, why are we picking on Android? Because it is hugely successful. Their numbers, they're taking a lion's share of the smartphone OS. But also Google have maintained a very open policy. The entire code base is free. Also, the getting applications in the marketplace is very simple. There is no vetting process. So you should be aware that along with the openness of Android, there is also the risk which you run into. Now, there have been a series of attacks. The most significant and the latest attack is something called MURNet or Droid Dream, which is the first and largest attack affecting as many as 50,000 users. Now, what is Droid Dream? It typically used a rage in the cage exploit, which allowed the root access to a mobile device. Rooting an Android device allowed the application to gain access to systems and services which are otherwise not available to a normal app. They would normally run within their sandbox. But rooting the device caused it access, which gave it the permission to install another APK file. Now, and that exposed a lot of harm. Google stepped in and distributed something called Android Market Security tool, which was intended to take care of these problems. But lo and behold, very quickly, that tool itself, which is supposed to be the remedy, was downloaded, pirated, loaded and laced with other malwares, and very quickly started being distributed from Chinese renegade app stores. So if you are a regular user, you might think that you are getting the medication, but actually you're getting the virus and the disease. So you have to be very careful about what you are getting into. The next area are spywares. Now, it could be someone who's trying to keep track of all the communications and messages. It can be a suspecting spouse or an employer, but these things are very good at concealing their presence. They can monitor every message, every email, every phone calls without even you knowing about it. There are even commercial software like FlexiSpy, MobileSpy, MobiStealth, which does these jobs. But you have to be very careful where somebody has introduced a spyware in your device. Apple iOS. Well, one of the largest and the most successful smart OS platforms. They also come with a highly protected App Store distribution model. So they're relatively safer because it's very difficult to get an application in the Apple App Store. Not difficult, it's practically impossible. However, the risks of Apple iOS comes from the jailbroken device. Jailbroken devices are typically, you have broken the trust chain between the Apple App Store and your phone, you have jailbroken the device, and again it is a desire to get these renegade apps for free. As soon as you do that, you've broken the chain, and now applications can come in and install services like SSH and get root access to your phone, and that can do a lot of harm. So if you stick to the normal things, you may not be able to do, you should be well protected, although there is never a 100% guarantee. However, every time you try to load renegade applications and jailbreak this device, it says you are running a risk. But Apple iOS is relatively safer compared to others. There is another big area. Mobile phones are very easy to use and also very easy to lose because of the size and form factors. Now, I myself did not know the stats are so high. The loss and theft of mobile phones, 1 in 20 mobile devices gets lost or stolen. And when you lose a phone, you don't not only lose the device, but you also risk the loss of confidential and sensitive data. All those bookmarks to your bank accounts, all those email accounts and user IDs and passwords, or whatever, the birthdays, your contact pictures, every material which you have loaded on your phone and saved on your phone, you run the risk of losing them, and God forbid if it gets in the hands of a wrong person, then it puts a severe risk not only to you, but also to the organization that you work for. So watch out for loss and theft of those phones. And if you carry any sensitive data, take care for how to encrypt or safeguard that data, so in case of a loss or a theft, your data is protected. The other area is communication interception. Now, Wi-Fi is wildly successful. Everybody uses Wi-Fi. Whether I'm at home or at Starbucks, I use Wi-Fi. and they predict that 90% of devices will be Wi-Fi enabled by 2014. So far, so good. However, there are sniffers which can very quickly track the traffic in a Wi-Fi area and catch those communication packets. These are called MITM, the man in the middle attack. And it is very simple to launch this attack and sniff your communication and get maybe intercept your emails and find out if you're transmitting any information. And that's how it launch an attack on you. The fourth area are direct attacks on these phones. Now, the direct attacks comes in two folds. Essentially, they want to gain control of your device and your data, or make your phone completely dysfunctional. Now, by making the device dysfunctional, it will render the device or component unusable for any kind of service. One very well-known example is the curse of silence attack against Symbian devices. By sending a specifically crafted SMS message, attackers can render a significant number of Symbian devices unusable. It's not only Symbian. Apple iPhone devices, there are proof of concepts that just receiving a malformed SMS can allow an attacker complete control over your iPhone. They can dial the phone, visit websites, activate the device camera, and further propagate the attack through your address book. Well, I'd like to think that still remains as a proof of concept, not in real. Well, the other thing are the browser-based attacks. Mobile browsers are still not as sturdy as their desktop or laptop equivalents. And henceforth, it's easy to launch a browser attack. The simple act of visiting a specific web page from a mobile device can jailbreak the device, and in some cases render various components of the operating system completely inoperable. So these are some of the direct attacks which you need to be aware of. Now, hope I didn't scare you, but the idea is to make you educated about all the different things. Now, in this video, we just covered about the problem area. We'll just touch on the solution area a little bit and expand on this on subsequent videos. So the recommendations are: make sure you have an anti-malware on the device. Make sure you have an on-device firewall so that if your phone, either through your application or due to somebody else trying to visit one of these blacklisted websites, those are stopped. Also, consider having an SSL VPN client to kind of encrypt any communications which are sensitive in nature. Whenever you are doing your corporate work, those should be done over a VPN client, or at least they should be SSL, so any communication is encrypted. The fourth item is there are centralized services to locate your phones in case of a loss, or tracking your phone, locking the phone in case you have locked them, or completely wipe it off of any corporate data. Fifth one is to monitor your devices. There are services which will monitor your devices, and in case your device have started sending SMSs to these unwanted numbers or having these surreptitious phone calls, those could be detected early on and shut out. Finally, consider having a good PIN code or a passcode so that in case of a loss, at least you have the first round of protection. Anyway, this is just a sneak peek on the recommendation. Again, be aware, 2011 can be a very big and bad year for all these mobile attacks. Stay safe out there. Again, this is Somnath Banerjee. Feel free to contact me in this email, or my Twitter handle is provided below. Send me a tweet and love to hear from you. Take care. Have a good day. Bye now.